Thank you, Raj. Thank you for our daughter Becky's a revelation of her accomplishments and experiences in school this past weekend through her teachers and the lost and found purse this morning. That was a real loving experience for us, and we're grateful. But my question is around my role as caregiver, or caregiver question mark, with my mother, who's continuing an increasing experience of Alzheimer's and macular degeneration, and we're in the process of trying to be open to an opportunity for a move or some more social experience in her life, and I continue to be confused as to how to find the time and the resources to make her life better. And I know that that whatever we have done in the past is not better. She wants someone there 24 hours a day to respond to her as she wants things to happen for her. But we apparently have an opportunity now for a change, and we are open.
It is appropriate for her to have attention around the clock. It is simply not appropriate for you to be the one to give it. She needs to be in a setting where attention can be given as needed, but no one person ends up being responsible for giving it all. So I would encourage you to be open to clarification in that area. That doesn't mean that you are biasing your listening. It just means that since that's the direction in which the clarification will be coming, it will be helpful for your attention to be there, rather than wondering if you've overlooked something else, forgotten something else, or even whether or not you are trying to avoid some degree of involvement that you really ought to be engaged in. Do you have a further question?
I think so, but I'm not sure what it is. It's our feeling that where she is right now, we keep hearing from the staff that she's fine, that there are a lot of activities and opportunities going on, but that's not our experience with her on the phone, although we know she doesn't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. And finances do play a part in what finances apparently, from our limited perspective here, seem to play a part in what can be apparent to her. And you know, we hold on to that there is more available for her. We are just kind of stymied as to how to make that happen.
The question, the answer to listen for, is the answer to the question, are you called upon, are you personally called upon to provide more than what she is getting? You see, the tendency sometimes is that when someone says jump, you jump and then ask how high on the way up. You see? When you need to ask before you jump whether jumping is even appropriate. You see what I mean? And most all of you, no matter how grown up you have become, tend to jump when mom or dad say jump. out of habit. You call it respect. But it's not wisdom. I will tell you that whether she moves or not, whether more opportunity is provided or not, her perception of what is there will remain the same. It isn't how much is there, it's how much she's letting in. So with that perspective, I will leave you with the responsibility or the opportunity to listen within for a direct awareness of whether or not any steps should be taken by you at all. You're welcome. We will take a break. Okay. Hands. In the blue, yes.
Hi, Raj.
Good afternoon.
I have, for many years, repaired things and built things and fixed things. And I'm moving into a place now where I'm realizing that a lot of my time and energy has been going into this unnecessarily, I guess for lack of better words. We have a car that is either going to need to be replaced or repaired extensively, even though it still works pretty good. And I was just curious to see if you had something to say about this, if this relates to this recent development. This recent development of my being able to delegate things. In other words, am I going to be delegating the repair of this automobile to its future owner? Or
Yes, you have found yourself in a position similar to one who has taken a drug and has been sitting cross-legged on the floor, experiencing whatever he's experiencing, and then after half an hour, let us say, discovering as though for the first time that he can stand up. You are discovering that you can exist without repairing something. It is an enlightenment. It is utterly appropriate for you to have a new vehicle. Embrace that rather than embracing your capacity to whip the old vehicle into shape. And embrace whatever learning, whatever discoveries there are in being open to A new, I did not say used, a new vehicle.
I have existed on these old bombers for a long time, and not unhappily so. In other words, I'm aware that I can.
Would it make you miserable to be in a new vehicle?
I probably won't be the one driving it. But no, not at all.
You don't have to make hard work out of letting go of an old habit.
I'm game. Part of it is that I just feel the desire to do it slipping away from me.
You mean you're finding yourself less hooked? Just because you are not compelled to do something doesn't mean you can't do it. Just because you don't fix things compulsively doesn't mean you can't fix things.
Quite true.
In fact, there will be a little more sanity involved in the fixing by virtue of your freedom from seeing your life's meaning coming from it.
Can you picture what happened this spring, Raj, with an automobile?
Of course.
That was insane, was it not?
It was indeed.
But we got it fixed.
Yes, you did. So what?
After the thing was all said and done, I'll have to say that there was a certain amount of pleasure in the navigation of those unruly waters. In other words, the whole project was just, it seemed so crazy and so undoable that when I looked at it and saw that it was done and knew that I could not have navigated these waters myself, I guess there was part of me that wanted that said, okay, since I can do this with God's help, why not? I didn't even have a place to fix this car, but it was provided.
And you did it. And now what?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is, do you really want to do that again? And the answer's not an emphatic no, but it's certainly no.
Really, what I'm saying is insist in the future upon only doing what God is willing to help you do. You see, and don't get locked into what it is you did, what it is you did before.
And was the difficulty of this project this spring related to the the, shall we say, the divine pull away from that way of doing things.
Will you say that a different way?
If the enlightenment is moving me away from needing to do these types of repairs, then does it follow that the difficulty of the situation was directly related to that?
Indeed.
Okay.
It's always difficult to go against the current. Speaking of waters. Or it's always strenuous to dig in your heels to slow down your to slow yourself down when God is moving you in another direction.
Can I go on?
You may.
Okay. This car that I was talking about working on this spring belongs to my daughter, who is 19 years old. She's done with high school and seems to have settled into life in a, shall we say, a relatively idle way. And
She experiences very little compulsion.
well, as far as I'm concerned, from what I can see, the key elements of her encounter with life are very compulsive.
Are not?
They are. She is, well, I guess I could just say that she has, to a great degree, closed me out of the loop. She's not interested in hearing what I have to say, and I guess the way I interpret that, the way I feel about that, is that she doesn't want to move along. Well, I'm well aware from my own experience that there are times in people's lives where they just need to, what? Stew. Sit and cook for a while. And this may well be a time for her of doing that.
It is difficult for me to well, let's put it this way. It's not clear to me which of the two of you is doing the stewing. And although your statement is true, but it might be you who is simmering in his own juices relative to his daughter, with breakthrough coming.
Yes, I
Now, what if you aren't the one that should be listened to?
Yes.
What if she is the one, right or wrong, skilled or unskilled, enlightened or not, who needs a listening ear, somebody just to hear. Not to hear and then solve the problem, but just to be that one whom she can express herself with, so that she's not alone with her examination of where she is and what she's doing, even though to you she might appear to be self-satisfied in her situation. And you see?
Yes.
It's questionable who's closing who out. Your loop says, if you're in it, you listen to and value what I have to say. And if you don't, then all I can conceive of is that you want to be on your own, you don't value me, and therefore you're not in my loop. And I'm not saying anything about right or wrong, who's right or wrong, who is stewing or who isn't, who's been closed out, who's being stubborn. But I am saying that there's another way to look at it than the way you've been looking at it. You know, sometimes when people are experiencing discomfort and they seem stuck in it, they're really at a point of experiencing discomfort. They are in a process of discovering that discomfort is not what they want to tolerate. But if they haven't arrived at it from their experience, and someone else recognizes their discomfort and says, you shouldn't be feeling that, you don't need to feel that, now if you do this and this and this and this, that becomes a distraction from their paying attention to the experience that will bring them to the point where they say, I want to be finished with discomfort. Dad, do you have any suggestions? You see?
Yes, that cuts to the quick.
Indeed. Also, things that are not said out loud, that are totally unreasonable, can, in the absence of having been expressed, seem totally reasonable. You can, any of you can imagine things that seem very reasonable to you until you open your mouth up and say it in front of somebody else. And then when you say it, you recognize how unreasonable that was, and you change your mind. The ability to communicate is a means of bringing half-hidden confusions and misunderstandings out into the light, where their inadequacy can be seen. Not by the person that they're talking to, but by themselves. One might say, well, it's just a rehearsal of sheer idiocy. Why should I waste my time? Well, when it's been kept inside, unexpressed, it can seem most justifiable and reasonable. And you can be there for her or anyone else long enough to let it be expressed, and then let it sit there, untouched, so that she or whoever it is can, in the presence of the light of having expressed it out, recognize that it doesn't make sense. And therefore, there's no point in continuing to embrace it. I see that it isn't only cars and toilets and other things that you fix. Obviously, if you are such a good fixer-upper, someone must have left you free to explore fixing things up instead of telling you that they were supposed to fix your life for you.
That may be, but I don't know if I can think of who that might be.
Either that or you did close yourself out of their loop and did it your way.
I'd say that's probably the more likely.
Well,
I will say this though, Raj. If you have a toilet that's leaking, somebody's got to fix it.
now that's good common sense. But if you have a toilet in the garage that nobody can use until it's fixed, going to waste, there's no common sense that says, I can't do anything else till I get this working and find somebody who needs it.
I think I get the point.
You're not sure? I'm joking. I know everyone else has gotten the point.
The toilet really didn't need to be fixed.
Yes. And you expressed intelligence by fixing it. Is this how stubborn you think your daughter is?
Yeah.
Well, I love you anyway. And I say, love her anyway. And get the water running clean in your toilet before you start taking care of someone else's. When they haven't asked for it. All you have to say is, okay.
Okay.
I love you anyway.
Well, thank you, and I can use it.